the admonition is no images of the child on the screen. So I know that you're getting the conference room because of that, but during the testimony, please not. Okay. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to start this morning. It's going to be a little bit unusual. I think we're going to be having the child witness testify. Counsel, would you please enter your appearances on the record? This is State versus Stephen Casaus.
Yes, Your Honor. Nicholas Marshall and Wesley Jensen for the state.
Morning, Your Honor. Cindy Leos and Tom Clark on behalf of Steve Casaus.
Oh, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to be doing is you're going to stay here in the courtroom, and Mr. Casaus will stay here in the courtroom, and then with Mr. Clark, Mr. Marshall, and Ms. Leos, and I, and the witness will be appearing on your screen in front of you. And there's audio, so you'll be able to hear the testimony. It's a little unusual, but that's how we're going to do it. I think the sound is good. I only had one question. I wanted to make sure, Mr. Stetsko, that you'll be able to hear it. You know, I'm not going to be here. It's not going to be through this amplification. And so I'm going to have Ms. Pat stay here. And if there's an issue with regard to hearing it, we have an IT specialist here that will help make sure the volume is enough so you can be able to hear that. So please don't be shy. If you cannot hear, please let them know, and they'll try to accommodate you for you. If we have to take a break and make sure that that works, we'll certainly do that. Okay? All right. So we're going to try to get through this. This is a little bit of an awkward way to do it, but necessary. So for members of the gallery, please, while this is going on, it's a little bit unusual. Please maintain your quiet and decorum and respect of the courtroom. So if you have to have a conversation, please step out to do so, and so that the jury can hear the testimony that will be provided via a video. All right?
Your Honor, can you advise the jury that that we'll be communicating?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Clark, for reminding me. Ms. Leos is going to be with me and Mr. Marshall and the child witness in this room. She has to have an opportunity to be able to communicate with Mr. Clark and Mr. Casaus during the course of the testimony. So they have I guess there's an iPad.
It's our tablets. Ms. Leos has a tablet.
It's a tablet, right. She has a tablet that's there, and she'll be able to communicate with Mr. Clark and Mr. Clark with her if it's necessary. But during the course of it, and certainly the court is allowing that, and they certainly have a right to do that. So I don't want you to feel like they're not paying attention and those kinds of things. So just know that that's part of how we have arranged for communication to take place. Okay? All right. With all of that, then we'll maintain the court in order. Ms. Leos, Mr. Marshall, would you follow me up to the conference room?
All right. May be seated.
You don't? Do you know that you're here to testify, to talk to us this morning? Right? And you can answer yes or no. Okay. Now, yeah, I'm going to ask you, do you know where you are? Where are you? Okay. What's this building that you're in? Is this the courthouse? Okay. You were brought here this morning. Is that a yes? Okay. Now, do you know what day of the week it is? You don't know if it's Tuesday or Thursday or Friday or what day of the week is it? Do you know?
Friday.
It's Friday. Right, right. And is it light outside or is it dark outside? Kind of light. So it's during the daytime, isn't it? Okay. Now, let me ask you a couple more questions before we get started here this morning. Do you remember what you did this morning? What did you do? When you got up this morning, what did you do? Okay. Do you remember what you did yesterday morning? Good, good. Now, when's your birthday? When's your birthday? What's your birthday? You know what day your birthday is? You know what month your birthday is? You don't know if it's in May or June? Or you don't know? Okay. Do you know how old you are? You're 7 years of age? Good, good. You have any brothers and sisters? Who's your brother? You have a little brother? Steve. And how old is Steve? He's 4. Where are you living? Who do you live with? What's her name? Okay. Your Aunt Sylvia? Okay. Now, Leah, I want to ask you, do you know the difference between the truth and a lie? You don't? You don't know the difference between telling the truth and not telling the truth? You know. Do you know the difference? So if I said that this robe that I had on was white, would that be the truth or a lie? It's black. So would that be the truth or would it be a lie? A lie. Because what? It's black, isn't it? Right. So if I asked you to tell the truth here this morning when we talk to you, you think you can do that for us? Okay. And so, do you understand if you don't tell the truth, that what do you think would happen if you don't tell the truth here this morning? Well, okay. And you think that you would, that would be okay to not tell the truth, or would it be okay to tell the truth? Okay, would it be okay or not okay to not tell the truth? Okay. Could you get in trouble if you don't tell the truth? You can answer yes or no. You understand that? Yes. Okay. So do you promise this morning that you will tell us the truth? Okay. All right. Let's have Mr. Marshall begin to ask you a few questions. Is that okay? Can we answer his questions this morning? Okay. Now, I'm going to have to ask you to tell us if that's okay. Is that a yes? Yeah. Mr. Marshall. So what I would like to do that briefly, is to have you do that. Nebia? Nebia, do you understand that, that your stepdad is listening to what we're saying here this morning? You know that? Can you say yes or no? And so, you will still tell the truth here this morning? You tell us the truth when we're asking some questions here today? Okay. And let me make sure I ask you, you know that he is in this building somewhere and he's listening to what you're saying. You know that? Yes? Okay. All right. This morning. Good morning. Again, earlier you said you went to go buy a bicycle. Or you went with your grandmother to get bicycles. Why did you do that? Yeah. And so, did you just turn 7 years old? And what were the cupcakes for at school? And what grade are you in? And what's your teacher's name? And is she a nice teacher? And who do you live with? Who else is in that home? And what's your aunts and uncles' names? And do other people live in the home with you? Jesse, Donovan, and Gabby. And who are they? Okay. Are they related to you? How are they related to you? Are they Sylvia's children? Do you have a brother? And what's his name? And does he also live with you? Did he used to have a brother named Omaree? Okay. Maybe we're going to have to ask you to speak up just a little bit, okay? In fact, you know what? Let's do this. Let's see if we can move your stuff and put it on another thing under the site. Let's see if we can move down. Move down to that chair. Let's see if that helps. We're having a hard time hearing you, so I want you to speak up if you can, okay? Can you do that for us? Okay. Hold on. Thank you. Mr. Marshall. And you said you had a little brother named Steve. Is that right? Yes. Did you used to have a brother named Omaree? Yes. What happened to him? He got hurt. How did he get hurt? He got hit. Who did him? My dad and my mom. Do you remember what happened that day? No. And do you remember how they hurt him? They slapped him, they punched him, they kicked him. And did you see this happen? Yes. Do you know? Well, when you came out of your room, you did? Yeah. What made you come out of your room? Because I heard somebody screaming. And so, where was this person screaming in your house? My room. Yeah. And so, what did you see when you went out there? I forgot. Who was screaming? What was he saying? He was saying, how? Why was he saying how? Because he got hurt. And how do you know that he was hurt?
couldn't understand that church.
Now, did the ambulance people come to your house that day? And what did they do?
They took him to the doctors, and then we did it with her.
When they did that, did someone else come to the house and stay with you?
No, I don't went to my aunt. Well, I went to Miss Brown's house, and then I moved to my aunt's.
You said you went to Miss Tori's house, and then you moved and you went to your auntie's house?
Yes.
How does it make you feel talking about Omaree? Liz.
Hey, how are you? Good. Do you remember talking to me a couple months ago?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I'm going to do the same thing today. I'm going to ask you some questions, okay? And if I ask you a question, you don't understand something. Okay? So, Nebby, do you remember that we talked about this, what happened to your brother, a whole lot, huh? Yeah? Yeah. And I'm going to have to remind them again, just like we did the last time, okay? And you talked to me about it, right? And you talked to Mr. Marshall about it. Nick, do you know my Nick or Mr. Marshall? Okay. And you talked to Mika, your therapist, about it. And you talked to Kathy, one of your therapists, about it. You've also talked to, was it Carol, another therapist, about what happened with your brother? Yes. And you talked to your auntie, right? Yes. And your uncle, is his name David? Yes. You talked to your cousins about it?
Well, not my cousin,
Just Kathy? Yeah.
yeah.
And here we are going to talk about it a little bit more, okay? So, oh, I forgot, you also talked to, you remember talking to Danielle, who's one of the ladies at the safe house? Remember talking to her?
Yeah.
You talked to her 3 times, huh?
Yeah.
And when you went to the safe house, you didn't have all these people looking at you, it was just you and Danielle, right?
Yeah.
And you got to play Play-Doh and toys and things like that.
Yeah.
And you knew that was the place where you could tell the truth, right? And do you remember when you were at the safe house, went to one safe house right after Omaree got hurt, right?
Yeah.
And that was like a day or 2 after. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And you went and talked to Danielle about what you saw. Do you remember that? I know, it seems like a long time ago. So we'll talk about it, and you just tell me what you remember. And if you can't remember, I can read to you what you said, okay? All right. So when you talk to Danielle at the safe house, do you remember that she asked you what happened to your brother Omaree, and then you said that he just cries. Do you remember saying that? So let me read you something here, Debbie. Do you remember when Danielle asked you what happened to Omaree today, and you said, that you started to cry. Do you remember that? And you said that you cried. And Daniel asked you, why were you crying? And you said you cried because Mama was spanking him. Do you remember saying that? No. And do you remember saying that Omaree had a seizure really bad when Mama was spanking him? Do you remember saying that? And then you told Danielle at the safe house that you told Mama to stop spanking Omaree. Do you remember that? And you told your Mama to stop being mean to Omaree, right? And you yelled at your Mama to stop being mean to Omaree, right? And Danielle asked you, what was your daddy doing? And you said, your daddy cried when he saw Omaree. Do you remember saying that? So let me read my transcript here, okay? Danielle asked you, what did Dad do when he saw Omaree? And you answered, cry. Do you remember that? No. Then, I had to go and do another, I had to go talk to Danielle another time. Do you remember that? I had to go all the way down there again. And she asked you questions again about what happened to your brother. And second time, you had to talk to Danielle. At that point, do you remember that you had been living with your auntie and your uncle for a little bit by then? And you were still seeing Mika, Kathy, and Carol for therapy, right? Yeah? And when you talked to Danielle, she asked you questions about your brother again, remember? Yeah. And when you talked to Danielle this time, you told Danielle that Omaree went to heaven. You remember saying that? Yeah. And that your Mama did something mean, so Omaree went to heaven. You remember saying that? Yeah. And that what your Mama did to Omaree was bad. Remember that? And that your Mama makes you scared. Remember saying that? And then you had to do another time. You had to go talk to Danielle. Remember? And that was just a couple months before you and I talked. Because we talked a couple months ago, and before that you talked to Danielle a third time. And then you had been, when you talked to Danielle this third time, you had been living with your aunt and your uncle about a year, right? Is that right? And you've still been seeing Kathy, Mika, and Carol. And you had to talk about Omaree again, remember? Yeah. And you remember saying that at this most recent, the time you talked to Danielle most recently, that you remember Mama being mean to Omaree, right? Yeah. And that you remember Mom was punching Omaree and there was blood on his face. Remember that? No. So let me look at your interview again. That Danielle asked you what happened to make Omaree go to heaven, and you said Mom was being mean to him, and Mom is punching him and there's blood on his face. Do you remember saying that? And that the police, that when the police came, do you remember when the police came? Do you remember telling Danielle that when the police came, that your Mama went inside a closet and hid? That she hid in the closet when the police came? And that your Mama stopped hitting Omaree when the police came, right? Is that right? Yeah. remember saying to Danielle that when your mom was hitting Omaree, she was saying bad words? And that she was cussing a lot. Remember that? And you didn't like that, did you? And that Omaree was in his bedroom when your mama pushed him and kicked him. Do you remember saying that? And you remember saying that your daddy told your mom not to do that to Omaree. You remember saying that? And then you and I had to talk about it a little bit ago, remember? And you told me that you remember the day that Omaree got hurt, that your mom was hurting him by punching him and kicking him. Do you remember that? Yes. And I asked you, maybe if you remembered anything else that happened that day with Omaree, and you said no. Do you remember that? And you said you didn't remember anything else that happened that day. Do you remember telling me that? Yes. And do you remember telling me that the day that Omaree got hurt, that he was bleeding because of what your mom did? Remember that? Yeah. And do you remember telling me, and we talked just a little bit ago, that you, since you've been living with your auntie and uncle and cousins, that they told you to say that your daddy hurt Omaree also? Do you remember telling me that? No. My interview here, there it is. And you remember me asking you that you were living with your aunt and uncle and the cousins that you live with, and did they ever tell you to say that Steve, your daddy, hurt Omaree? And you answered, and then yes. Do you remember saying that? No. Now, do you remember your auntie telling you that your daddy would be in jail for a long time for what he did to Omaree? Yeah. And Mika, your therapist, she also told you your daddy would be in jail for a long time for what he did to Omaree, didn't she? Yeah. And you saw Nick Marshall, the DA here last week, right? Yeah. You had a play date at the DA's office? Yeah. And when you went to that play date, you again talked about Omaree, didn't you? Yes. And with this play date, you first sat and played with Legos and toys, right? Yeah. And then you had a meeting just with Nick and Maria, is that right? Yeah. And that was all at the district attorney's office, the DA's office? Across the street? Yeah. And when you went and talked to Nick and Maria, you talked about this case, didn't you? And your auntie wasn't in that meeting, was she? The first part she was, but not the second part. And when you talked to Nick, you talked about what you were going to say in court today, didn't you? And you talked about how to answer questions, right? And what your answers should be. And you talked about some drawings, didn't you? Some drawings that you did. Sorry, did you? Yeah. And I'm going to show you those drawings. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. 1 second. Grab it up. showing you this picture we did, and for the record, that's defendant's exhibit D. That's defendant's exhibit D and the dog. Did you do that drawing yet? Yes. Okay. And that was a drawing you did what happened to Omaree, right? Yeah. And I'm showing you the defendant's exhibit D, just for them to know, not necessarily for you, but do you remember drawing this picture also? Yeah. And that's also a picture of what happened to Omaree, right? Yeah. And you drew it, right? Yeah. And this is the defendant's exhibit now. So Debbie, I'm showing you this other picture. That also looks like something you drew, doesn't it? And that's a picture you drew of what happened to Omaree, right? Now, this is the defendant's exhibit. You get that point? This is a drawing you did. Remember drawing this? Now, this drawing you did after you had that play date with Mr. Marshall, right? And did you talk to Nick Marshall about making this drawing before you did it? Did he talk to you about doing another drawing? Did Nick tell you that your drawings about what your mom should Maggie, talking about this picture here, which has this sticker on it that says Defendant's Exhibit B, you drew this the other day, is that right? Now, why did you draw this picture?
Because I was mad.
And um, and so other pictures maybe that you drew that we just talked about, and for the record, that's Defendant's Exhibit T, E, and F. You didn't draw your dad in any of those pictures, did you?
Yeah.
In these pictures? Just these pictures, right? And that one you did. But what about in these three? Did you draw your dad in them?
No.
Maybe have you speak up, okay? Okay, you're doing great. You just need to hear you, okay?
And maybe it's pretty hard to remember what happened that day when Omaree got hurt.
Yes. Yes.
I have a moment. So maybe we'll start. Has anybody ever told you what to say about what happened to Omaree?
No. No.
You just talked to a lot of people about it, right?
Yes.
Can I just know what you're on? Thanks, Maggie, for calling me on.
Just watch it. You just asked a few questions about some of these drawings. And in some of the drawings, do they have your dad?
Only one.
No. What about these two? These are exhibits C and H. Do they have? And then can you tell me what letter is on that? On that little blue box there? Huh? Mm-hmm. C. And what about on, in this picture, is there,
Well, no.
what about was that? Can you see what letter that is?
A G.
It's a G. Who are the people in this drawing?
It's a one, two, one,
Okay. Now, the defense asked you a few questions about the time you came and she asked you a few questions before. That was a few months ago. Um, and she read part of the statement, but I'm going to read a little bit bigger part of the statement. I want to see if you remember this. Do you remember when Ms. Leos asked you during the interview? I believe it says in the bottom. What is it? interview that was conducted at pre-trial? Oh, please. And during that interview, you talked about what happened. Is that right? And what happened that day when Omaree was shot?
The objection happened.
That's
the video,
And who hurt him? What was it, I'm sorry? Both of them? Both of them hurt Omaree? The defense asked you if mom made you scared, and you said yes. But did your dad ever make you scared? Sometimes. Did anybody say to not talk about what happened that day?
Objection speaking down.
Oh.
No.
Thank you. And the other one, expense comments, okay? And I think we're done, all right? Thank you very much.
trying to get an idea of whether or not you could hear. I understand it was difficult to hear her. I think one of the things that we'll be able to do is probably, we may have talked to Shannon about, but getting a transcript of that particular testimony. That we can even send back to the jury for reference if necessary. If it was as difficult to hear as I think that it may well have been. I think that probably was in and out is what I understand. Yeah, I'll let you do that. Yeah, we'll do that. I've certainly heard from other folks that I had watching as well to make sure that they could hear it or not hear it and give me some reference in that regard. But I think that's probably going to be part of the solution that we're going to have in this matter. You know, we thought that it was going to work. She was pretty soft-spoken.
Judge, we were sitting here and Pat asked me to text Cindy to let you know that we couldn't hear at least both female juror, I don't know what number she is. She actually had to ask a couple of times. I had to get a headset. The biggest concern I had was not only was the child had such a soft voice, but anytime papers would shuffle and you couldn't help but shuffle paper going through, that would almost overpower the child's soft voice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I think that, it's the best technology that we have available. But I think the remedy certainly is to provide for them, I think, what will be a real accurate transcript of the testimony. I think part of watching her, for them to be able to assess the child's credibility and things, of course, they were able to see that and view that, which is important. But, what they missed in terms of the testimony to be able to refer to as evidence in this case was use of the transcript as will be ordered by this court, and we'll make copies for each one of the jurors for purposes of deliberation. And I think that may satisfy at least that part of it. Mr. Marshall, let me hear from you.
Yes, Your Honor, I have some concern by giving them the transcript, and I know in past cases it's created a lot of delay because they'll then think they can get transcripts of everything. And there's been a lot of presented, and I think it might place a slight overimportance on one witness versus the other. I think it might be a good idea to have the transcript prepared, and perhaps we have a formal reading of the transcript here in court so that they could then hear everything that had been said. But I don't know. I have hesitations before we giving them as an exhibit the transcript back to deliberate. I think a reading is very appropriate based on what's been presented for the problems with the hearing. But I just have some concerns making an exhibit for them to take back.
Well, I can understand that you can object to it, Mr. Marshall. I understand that that may get the sense that they get transcripts of everything. And I guess I'll have to make that call if those additional requests come. But I think just to make sure that they are provided a fair opportunity to know what exactly was said. Clearly, from reports that I received, that it was very difficult at times to even hear her answers. And I think that it's clear that they need to have some opportunity to find out exactly what was said, along with having the opportunity to observe her demeanor while testifying. So over your objection, I'm going to be making copies. So that will be the court's own motion in order to provide that to make sure that they can have an idea of exactly what was said. So it'll happen, understanding your concerns about it, but I'll do it anyway. So that leads us to the next witness. Who are you going to be calling?
Dr. Odie.
And we have enough time, I think, to get the doctor on this morning to bring the jury out in just a few minutes.
Yes.
All right. Do we need just to take a little bit more of a break before we do that? Maybe 5 minutes? Are we good? Are you ready to start?
Judge, maybe we have 5 minutes, just 2 minutes.
Yeah. Why don't you do that? I'll be back in about 5 minutes and we'll get started. Where are you?
Your Honor, should we already set up the laptop for not this witness, but the next witness? We will have another recording that we'll be playing. Should we set that up now?
Yes, I would like to set it.
Okay.
Let's do that. So we have the laptop?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let me turn the system on. I'll see it.
You guys using this or just the laptop?
Huh?
You using
I'm gonna
this
be
for
using